I don't think the government should be in the bailout business.
Yes, I supported TARP.
Mr. Cain.
Yes.
You were once with the Kansas City Federal Reserve. Should it be audited?
Yes, it should be audited.
Some people say that we ought to audit the Federal Reserve. Here's what I do know. The Federal Reserve already has so many internal audits, it's ridiculous. I don't know why people think we're going to learn this great amount of information by auditing the Federal Reserve.
The fact that Anwar al-Awlaki is an American citizen,
Yes.
and that he's never been charged, much less convicted of a crime.
He should be.
But, well, whether he should be or not is beside the point. He has not been charged, and he has not been convicted in a court of law. He's an American citizen.
I agree. He should be charged. And since he's an American citizen, he should then be tried in our courts.
Do you think it's legal to issue a shoot-to-kill order?
What do you mean
in
by
his case?
In his case, no, because he's an American citizen. If he's an American citizen, which is the big difference, then he should be charged and he should be arrested and brought to justice.
Would you be comfortable appointing a Muslim either in your cabinet or as a federal judge?
No, I will not.
You talked about not appointing a Muslim to your cabinet because you're concerned about Sharia law. Muslims are maybe 2% of the U.S. population. A small percentage of them follow Sharia law. I mean, is that really a concern for the United States, that Sharia law is going to take over? I mean, I frankly don't see a lot of evidence of that.
Well, let's start with what I really said.
No, I will not.
I didn't say that I would not have one in there.
No, I will not.
Would you allow the debt ceiling to be exceeded in America? Would you vote against raising the debt ceiling?
I would vote against raising the debt ceiling, and here's what I would do instead. Identify those critical things that we need to make sure we pay, and then we cut wherever we have to cut in order to not to raise the debt ceiling.
Bernanke is saying at this point, you gotta make a deal, and you've got to make a deal and raise the debt ceiling. And if you don't, and you just pay the debt off, that's still going to frighten the market.
And I would agree with him. I agree.
So then you just said the Cain plan is wrong.
You have said that excessive regulation is inhibiting innovation.
Yes.
Which regulations?
Hey, try this one.
Yeah.
Shell Oil did a study off the coast of Alaska.
Right.
They spent $2 billion.
Right.
They were all ready to go and to do some drilling.
Right.
And then at the last minute, the federal government said, we will not give you a permit, when they had an indication earlier that they were going to get a permit. Now, why did the government say that they wouldn't give them the permit after they spent $2 billion? Because they say that a study that they have indicates that it's going to do some harm to a town that's located, 70 miles away as the crow flies.
Okay. Well, look, I don't know those facts. I'll defer to you on those facts. Let me ask you, since we're talking, but let's stick with innovation for a second. Move outside the energy sector, where I think most folks would say environmental regulation, given what happened in the Gulf and with BP, some reasoned environmental regulation is appropriate.
Right.
Give me another area where regulation has stymied innovation. Silicon Valley, or something related to the tech sector, something related to even Wall Street. Give me one example.
Let's take what the National Labor Relations Board did recently to Boeing in South Carolina.
Right.
The National Labor Relations Board is trying to intimidate Boeing.
That's not innovation. That's not innovation.
Job expansion is innovation.
No, but I want to focus on innovation here.
Job expansion is innovation.
No. This was where they were going to put a plant. I want to talk about
innovation. This is where they were going to put a plant. Yes, this is where they were going to put a plant. Okay.
But that's a separate issue. I want to talk about any Wall Street, anything, any one regulation that you think is stifling innovation.
Elliot, I can't give you one innovation. I'm speaking generally, and you're trying to pin me down on one. Now, I tell you what.
You're running for president. I think it's fair to do.
I'll make a deal with you.
Okay.
The next time I come, I will have a specific one for you.
That's
okay?
a deal. We will set
Let's
that.
do it that way.
Let me come at it another way.
Now, see, here's the other danger about me walking in here with one specific one.
Right.
Because then people will focus on that one when there are many of them. We need to address the problem. Let me just say this, Elliot. My approach to every issue is to make sure we're working on the right problem. Not working on one piece of the problem. Secondly, make sure that we assign the right priority, not to one piece of the priority. And this is what I'm saying. We've got to do a proper assessment, but generally speaking, based upon the feedback of the people closest to the problem, based upon the feedback who feel as if they are overregulated. This is why I'm coming to the conclusion that we need to do something about it.
Jeff Immelt, the CEO of GE, is the chair of the president's Job Creation Commission board, right? As part of what the Obama administration is doing, they've just looked at all the regs out there with an effort to eliminate the regs that were cumbersome in the way.
What did they find?
Well, I'm asking you that. Do you know what they found?
I don't know what they found.
Did you look at the report? Because this is exactly what you just...
I have not seen the report.
Well, they called it down and they got business folks involved. Do you think they did an adequate job?
I don't know because I haven't seen the report.
Okay.
But I have looked at the debt commission report and some of the items that were in there.
Okay, let's switch to that. Do you think they did a good job there?
I think they identified a number of items, but they didn't produce a plan.
I think it's a plan. I mean, I saw a plan that basically cut $4 trillion over a 10-year period. Is that enough?
No.
How much should we cut this year?
Elliot, I can't tell you how much we need to cut this year until I look at the programs in detail as a person who has access to all of the information.
Okay, but wait a minute.
Elliot, you keep trying to pick a number, a rule, an item, and make that the whole case. This is why we don't solve problems in Washington, D.C.
No. Just so it's clear, I'm trying to actually solve problems by drilling down on facts and specifics. Because generalities don't solve problems.
I agree with you.
Saying you want to get rid of excess regulation sounds good, but doesn't mean anything if you can't tell me which one, Herman. So tell me which one.
I will be able to tell you which ones, Elliot. I can't tell you which ones right now. Okay?
So let's do this on the budget. $4 trillion over 10 years, you just said is not enough.
I think it's not enough because we added $4 trillion in 2 years.
Okay, so how much is enough? I'm just asking you a simple question.
Elliot,
how much is enough?
That is not that is not an answerable question.
Sure it is.
No, it is not.
But
it is not. Now, Elliot, okay.
Then how do you know $4 trillion isn't enough?
Elliot, because we grew it by $4 trillion in 2 years. Okay, and I happen to believe that if you approach solving the right problem, okay, which is what I'm proposing, I am not going to let you pin me down on a specific. Listen to me for a moment in terms of what my approach to problem solving is, please.
Surely.
Okay, at least give me that.
All right.
The first thing you do is to make sure you're working on the right problem.
Right.
Secondly, that you assign the right priority. This is my approach, and this is the approach of a lot of successful business people. Thirdly, you surround yourself with the right people so you can put together the plans. Now, you can't put together a good plan to solve the problem until you do the analysis. And you're trying to extract one thing out of many in order to say, okay, yeah, I will be able to give you I'll be able to give you a specific on some of these things in the future.
Are you saying you haven't done the analysis yet?
I have done some of the analysis on some of these issues, Elliot.
So that's why I'm just asking for, this is a number that you got to have some ballpark sense. How much do you think we need to cut over the next 10 years so we can bring ourselves back towards balance?
I think $5 trillion, north of $5 trillion would be a good start. I believe we will have to cut. I believe we need to be $5 trillion because we've already added $4 trillion. We've got to bring that down as well as start to dig into what we've already done. Okay,
let me ask you a question. Let me take something else off your website. This is something you said in an interview. I just want to make sure we can understand. Apologize, put my glasses on. They're not as nice as yours. Here we go. It says here, we're going to prioritize paying interest on the debt, then the defense, Social Security, Medicare bills, and then put everything else on the table for dramatic cuts, right?
If they had done it a year ago.
Okay, but is that a fair approach?
That's a fair approach.
Okay. How much, the things I just listed, do you know roughly what percentage of the budget that comes to?
Probably about 50%.
It's actually closer to about 65%. Okay. But fair enough. Okay, so it's actually 2.367 trillion out of 3.8 trillion. Okay. Now, that leaves about a bit over 1.4 trillion left total. How much do you want to cut out of that?
I would have to look at it, Elliot.
No, but see, what I'm trying to understand is I want to know, right now there are negotiations at the White House.
Right.
And they're trying to deal with concrete hard numbers.
Yes.
To figure out if we should raise the debt ceiling.
Right.
If it were up to you, would you vote right now, clean bill, to raise the debt ceiling without cuts?
I would not vote to raise the debt ceiling, Elliot. The point I'm trying to make is that a year ago, you could have put a plan in place where you would not have to raise
but we're not a year ago. I'm just trying to understand how much...
No, I'm not going to say what I would do in a crisis that I would not have allowed to happen.
Okay, well,
I would not have allowed this crisis to happen.
I'll accept that as a given, but now it has happened. You're going to be president if you win this race on January the 20th of 2013. We've had the crisis.
Right.
How much do you want to cut in next year's budget?
What I'm going to say, Elliot, I'm not going to answer that question for you because I would not have allowed it to become a crisis. You're not going to pin me on that, okay? I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay, you know what? We have got to wrap. Herman Cain, it is always a pleasure to chat with you. It is fun, it is feisty, and I hope you come back and you'll have all those specific answers for us.
I will come back, and I hope you have the right questions the next time.